Greetings and welcome to the Safing livestream. Sorry for the short delay, as the title of this video already tells you all is yeah, we're both a little bit under the water for the
Yeah.
last couple of days. Yeah, it's see, the thing is, I watched a video about the man flu, and I think I caught it right afterwards. um, but it was like the COVID test was positive as well, like 2 or 3 days into me being sick. So who knows? Who knows? Um, but during that time, I focused on answering support tickets as much as I could, and trying to sort of like stay on top of all the things that we're currently at. And now that you're like, I'm well now, I guess, but you, Daniel, are not.
Well, it's kind of I don't know, like how I'm feeling didn't really correspond to the test results. So that's weird. But well, I guess everything's weird about COVID now. Nobody
Oh,
knows
absolutely,
where
absolutely.
where we're at really now. So
But so that our like the people watching know, you have been working. You have chugging along from home. We had a new beta release of Portmaster, like the 1.09 release. Thank you for everybody who's testing it in the Discord. There's also a sub channel for that, which is great. Like, I think I got some valuable feedback from that. Do you too?
yeah, definitely. So we had a couple people uh reach out and tell us a couple things. And just before the live stream, I finished the work on the next version. So
Ooh.
that'll go out into beta tomorrow morning,
Okay.
European time.
Wait.
So
No. Wait. That's Friday.
it's
Oh
Friday
no.
morning. It's practically a Thursday. There's it's
Oh
it's just
no.
beta.
Oh
So
no. We have this policy around here that we don't push stuff on Fridays, and of course, big releases we don't. But like for beta, you're like, oh well, those beta guys, they know what they're up to, and they can probably switch back to stable if they want a stable
it,
experience. No.
exactly. So they can switch back to stable, and there are a lot of important improvements in that one again. Also kind of following up on some of the feedback of the previous version. And the biggest thing, of course, is we're trying to understand exactly the um, how flows react to each other in the network, and find a way how these flows can work well together. And so uh, this the last version had an new or like a adapted attempt at this, and we're following up on that too. So um, one step at a time, we're stabilizing the network. Yeah. Also, I kind of realized that um, because we don't use it that much, but a little here and there, I realized that the continent data in our GeoIP database isn't working for some reason. Um,
So this
but
is why the home hubs are wrong.
it kind of it it's multiple factors, and this is one of them. Because of course, if it sees that it's on the same continent, it gets a better rating. Um, and what I've done now is I've actually found a very nice list of countries with all their regional data. So um, we now have not only continental mapping but regional mapping. So every continent is split into 4 regions, and then it's a lot easier to use this data to kind of give an estimation of how near something is, and that will improve routing, and home hub selection. So
Mhm, mhm. Very
that's
cool.
really nice.
Just every time I feel obligated every time when you say like we now have regional data and stuff like that. I feel obligated to tell people this is prepackaged information that's local on your device so that your portmaster locally knows where stuff is. Like
Yeah,
people on the
yeah,
internet, they have that data. the cool thing now is that you have that data as well, and that Portmaster tells you in a smart way and faster and stuff like that. So we're always talking about stuff that you now have when we talk about us. It's us, all of us. It's not us,
Yeah,
we.
yeah,
It's all of
exactly.
us.
Thanks for the
No, that's
for
just every
adding
time.
that to there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. But every time when you say stuff like that, I'm like, oh no, people will definitely misquote us here. So I'm like, okay, let's just clarify this quickly. Yeah, no, very cool, very cool. Yeah, it's getting like we're finding stuff, we're figuring out some stuff, and no, I think that the 09 is already like a big improvement in regards to stability. But yeah, you want to share some stuff that's like also in the .10, 0.10.
Uh yeah, let me just check real quick uh the notes on that. Um
You mean like the update notes?
well, right now it's just the
The internal
PRs, the
notes. No, I
commits.
understand. But because people sometimes are asking, can you quickly tell people where our update notes are?
But this is so we have a change log um on both the docs, and if you go to the releases on the GitHub
Yep.
project, you'll find notes there too. So at the moment, it's we don't invest loads of time in there. It's more or less the commits we do, and I try to be very descriptive in the commits about um, what's happening. Um, yeah. So what's happening in this release is it's a lot of routing improvements. So um, we it's a lot of small things. Not sure like what to pick out here. Um, but for example, like if you're looking into if you're routing to somewhere, it will correctly check if that node actually has an IP address in the right version for it. And if you're using the plain VPN mode, um, for whatever reason, we don't recommend that because privacy. But that is there for special use cases. Um, and in that case, you actually need to check that on the home node so that it has all the IP versions that your computer also has. So if you have IP version 6, that node should also have IP version 6, unless otherwise you won't be able to connect. If you somehow end up there anyway, then Portmesh will automatically upgrade your routing algorithm to the higher one to be able to actually succeed with that connection. So maybe some of you may have experienced that already. That if um, the port manager does more hops than you wanted it to, and it does that when there's a risk to your privacy. For example, um, should your um, home node kind of be a community node, for example, and you'd be using if in that case it will always upgrade. Or if you what was the other case? There was another case where we upgrade automatically. Um, can don't have the top of my head right now, but Portmaster does check basic things and be like, wait a second, that's definitely not what you want, and it's gonna upgrade you to protect you.
So cool.
Yeah,
So cool.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's when your home node isn't trusted, so there's a special flag that we set on certain nodes that we deem more secure. Right now, it's all of our nodes, but with the growing network, we will discern between more trusted hosters and not so trusted hosters. And not so trusted hosters will not be used for unencrypted connections. So we really take care that your unencrypted connections are only handled by servers that are trusted, so that your traffic isn't mangled with or is not used to attack you. So that's something we're very, very careful with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We also like one of the goals, of course, also is that you can set trusts yourself and you can decide what to pick and stuff. There will be always a great pre-selection decided by saving, but you can, of course, like there are not all those settings available yet, but we want to make
Yeah.
this available, and this are features which are coming in. So just because like I answered a couple of things on YouTube already, I think you don't see neither chat. So sorry for to you. But the good thing for all our watchers is now I have to read them anyway. And as usual, I prefer like the Discord chat over the YouTube chat. So I'm asking Mike's question. So Mike J asks, one of our Mike, he's part of the team and he's sometimes on Discord as well. And he said, glad to catch the stream live. He's not in Austria. And his question is, does IPv6 have to be enabled? If it's shut down off in my router, will it matter for Portmaster? And I think in regards to IPv6, you even have like an interesting tidbit there as well, don't you?
So Portmaster does not decide which IP version to use. Your OS decides that, or the application or whatever. So your application does a DNS request. It gets IP version 4 and 6 addresses, depending on how it resolves it. But most of the times it should get both. And then it decides, or actually the OS in most cases will decide which IP version to use. So whenever the OS decides to use IP version 6, then it will request from the SPN a tunnel to that IP address. So that's how that works. So we don't kind of decide on which version to use. That's up to your OS and how that handles things. I think if you've disabled it in your router, then your computer should not be getting an IP version 6 address that is usable globally. So your OS will not choose to use IP version 6. But if you do configure an IP version 6 address on your computer, um, even if your ISP does not have IPv6 support, then the SPN will actually enable IP version 6 access for you. So it will transparently take your connection and just connect to the server without your ISP needing to support that. So we kind of, if you want to, you can get IP version 6 with SPN, even if your ISP doesn't have it.
Exactly. So even if you're, just to say this again, even if your ISP does not give you an IPv6 address, you can connect through IPv6 using SPN. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. So that's basically it. You can have both. And disabling at the router, as we already said, like this is basically the same thing. You can like your local machine is now in charge of your connection if you use the SPN. And I think we talked about this last time when
Mhm.
I talked about it beaming and not tunneling. You're not extending your network. You're actually like the connection is being destroyed on your device and then recreated, beamed to one of the chosen servers, and from there the connection is established. And this is sort of like in between. It does not matter what is in between. Like this is an point to point thing, and so this is why I don't like the word tunneling there
Mhm.
a lot. Okay, cool. So Mike, thanks for the response. So you're
If
welcome, Mike.
anyone of you is kind of more on the technical side or is using Linux, you can actually test that with a couple tools. For example, curl has a flag to force it to use IP version 6. So you can see if that works and how it looks like for you.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Interesting. Pluto5 asks, how do I identify which connections are malicious to my system slash privacy when I activate Portmaster? Questions to us both, of course. You're smiling. Okay, then take the reins. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't smiling too. Wait, if you like, I know how I'd start. Um, you can if you want to.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. No,
Okay.
I'm just like I'm here for reading and answering all this stuff.
Ah, I see. I see. Okay. So the most important uh, part we always start when we look at privacy and security is threat models. It always depends on whom, like, what are you protecting and whom are you protecting against. And that is, without that information, you cannot even define what is malicious, because if you're trying to protect against Microsoft, then Windows is malware
Yeah,
because it sends a lot of information, your information, their way. If you don't want that, then that's a problem. If you are like, I trust Microsoft, they're probably doing a good thing, then that's not something that's malicious to you. So it depends on your threat model. Again, that is what are you protecting, what information are you protecting, and whom are you protecting against. And
yeah,
that's kind of the basis for that. And what Portmaster enables you is to um, enforce your threat model by, uh, on a very easy level, managing internet access, cutting off applications from internet access, cutting off applications from LAN access, or further using filter lists to block things that most common people would have in their threat model. So that's kind of where we help you with.
yeah.
The filter lists include a lot of domains that most of, like, uh, privacy seeking people will have in their threat model. So that's where we help you with. So you don't have to do everything yourself, but you just have to look at the application and find out what it's doing and if that is okay with your threat model or not. So, for example, you can open Steam and you will see, oh, it's connecting to Google Analytics.
I think
Interesting.
yeah, but
That's
that's blocked by default. Google
that's blocked by
Analytics.
default, but there
Yeah,
may be other things.
import master.
So I've already found domains that are not blocked by default in other applications. I
Which is
think it
stuff
was,
that is true. If it's truly malicious and not necessary, we add this to the filter lists. And I
yeah,
guess like
yeah,
just to jump
and
in
I
here,
did.
because Innovate to Death, thank you also for being here for the first stream. I had to, Daniel, you don't know, but I accidentally started the stream on my own. And Innovate to Death, also great. Thank you for all the stuff you do on the Discord. But he's also now in the YouTube live chat, and he sort of like responded, and I think the answer is pretty good. So I'm quickly reading it here.
Mhm.
How does as a known malicious things are blocked automatically by lists? So filter lists again, as you were saying, like, and this is why I mentioned like we are updating them manually as well. Like there's stuff already in filter lists which we aggregate so that you don't connect to all those lists to download them, but they're aggregated and bundled and packed to be shipped as one thing, aggregated on our end and then shipped as one thing to you. And we can add in their stuff. So if you have like stuff that you think needs to be like get rid of for everybody, tell us and we will add the domains manually as well. And then he says, what is not blocked and like are multi-purpose domains, subdomains can break services if blocked entirely. And then he said it's got to test if it still works after block. So this is of course a many big thing. Yeah, and I for instance, like I block on a global level Bing.com on my Windows machines, and of course this breaks Microsoft stuff. It so does, and you see it. And this is the reason why we don't break disable it by default, so that when you get Portmaster installed on your mom's device, for instance, you don't have to tweak anything to get it working, but you can tweak everything to break everything, basically. So, and of course, the hardcore model for this is turning it around, setting the global default not to allow but to deny, and then only allowing the connections that you want. Which, of course, like is hard mode, like nothing working out of the box, and you trying to figure out how it works. Just quickly here, innovated dev answered again. My portmaster is in prompt. Yeah, You're sorry. Prompt mode is not the best experience at the moment. I feel for you. And I allow until the service works. Okay. And then block by default because the rest is in fact not needed. That is true. Return on if it's something breaks later to polish the rules. Yeah, that's true. We even have like so innovative dev. I think you like the idea that Daniel had a couple of like um yeah, quite some time ago already. And
Weeks
we're
ago.
thinking
Yeah.
of again,
Yeah, weeks ago. Yeah.
yeah, we thought about how did you name it?
I think it was kind of a learn setting. So instead of
Yep,
just allow block and prompt, you have learn. And what it does is kind of instead of it's kind of a in between thing between prompt and allow. So it allows everything by default, but also it adds it to the rules.
yep,
So you can put an application into learn mode
yep,
for some time and then go to block mode.
yep.
Or you can
And
actually,
then
if you
clean
want to,
out and then block all the stuff that you don't want
yeah.
and see each connection in there and sort of like um allow or block only the required things. Yeah. This is
So
not the history module yet, which is also sort of
yeah,
like
that's something different. So it actually adds to the rules. So what you could do is, for example, you could, if you install Portmaster Fresh on your device, you could then set it globally to into learn mode, and then just open every application you have, reboot your system, and then let the system run for a day, just doing nothing, just that it has seen everything that's kind of normal, and then you put into block, and most of the stuff should continue to work. So that's a pretty nice way to kind of get set up quickly, and then you can go through and look at the settings in there and review them afterwards. So that's kind of a quick setup method. Um, yeah, that kind of was birthed out of the necessity of how do I say that fulfilling um, uh, grand goals. I would say.
all is well, all is well. Yeah, no. Some of the stuff has been in the pipeline for so long, and that's the
Yeah,
reason like when I read about the like prompting stuff, I'm like, oh no, I know that we need to get some fixes in there and that we
yeah.
need to improve
Especially
there.
we actually have a nice improvement there that's waiting for
Yeah, don't tease the people too much. You
some
already
time.
teased like one of
Yeah,
the
I'm
features,
sorry.
which
I'm
is
sorry.
not
Yeah,
even in
yeah.
development
We
actively
we
at the
will
moment.
that stuff that will hopefully happen in the near future,
That's
but
true.
we're focusing all of our resources on Android and SPN at the moment. So sorry for kind of just maintaining Portmaster or like the privacy filter module um, at this point. Um, but we need to get the SPN stabilized and uh,
That is true.
scalable in order to sustain our business. So if we don't get that sustained and stable,
Yep.
then
Portmaster is
Portmaster won't help you anyway
that is true. That
because
is true. If nobody pays for SPN, then we shut our doors probably. Yeah, no, that's of
yeah.
course true. That's of course true. Well, that's
So
that's the
that
sad
that
reality.
said, if you're not using SPN for whatever reason, that's okay. Please enjoy Portmaster,
Yeah,
but please also think about
consider.
uh,
Absolutely.
buying a supporter tier
Yeah,
to show your support and help us become a sustainable business.
that's absolutely true. Well, Pluto 5 also says, like, can we recommend any educational content? And I quickly wanted to add there, I think our Discord community is great. Like Innovator Dev as one of the people who is very active in helping people getting to know and understand Portmaster to its fullest. And there are other people on Discord as well. I think the Discord is probably at the moment a very like active and healthy community in helping you to understand how Portmaster works. Um, yeah, I think Avoid the Hack already sort of like he at least did one post on our GitHub, and I gave him access to our wiki. So wiki.safing.io is a platform which we started. It's like we don't link to it from the homepage yet, but it is supposed to replace the docs page in the future. And if like some people who are like active in the community, and sometimes they ask, or yeah, basically this is has been Avoid the Hack is the only one at the moment who has access, and like he's writing some of the articles on the wiki as well, clearly labeled, so you know which ones are from us, which ones are from different people. And exactly, so the wiki will probably be the place where you can get the most information. Not necessarily the most helpful, not necessarily the most up to date, because sometimes this would be GitHub, or sometimes this would be YouTube. Other YouTubers doing stuff about safing and doing stuff about Portmaster are out there. And we're very, very thankful to them. And yeah, I agree. I want to sort of like quickly, I mean, we're mid episode now. I think we're far along into this episode, but I can tell, like, because you mentioned Android, and I think we can share something there.
That's right. We can share something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's my phone?
Oh, you want to show it to the people as well? Okay.
I'm
I
gonna.
would not
I
even go that far. Like we have like a couple of people who I've talked to in the past already about the Android app. We shared the Android app already, and I think it's yeah now in the F-Droid store, isn't it?
mostly no, but yes.
Okay. Okay.
So
This is the reason why I was like a little bit confused. I'm like, does it work now? Does it not? Okay. But
so I'm
we're
gonna show you how that looks like.
okay.
Um,
We are for everybody. We're in the process of getting the beta application. It like is still in beta. It's still like on its way. We're still working on it. But like into the proper app store, and of course in the F-Droid store. And I'm not sure if we make the APK available on our homepage as well. We probably could.
we are going to, but this is in progress. So
Yeah, yeah.
but we can share the F-Droid repo URL, so that works already. So that's the F-Droid listing, how that looks like.
Oh, this looks
Um,
horrible on this stream.
it probably looks really horrible. Um, but I'm
But
just
it's
gonna
clearly labeled. Okay.
install and open that, and that's how the adventure starts.
Welcome to
So
Portmaster. And then sign. What does it say? Setup?
swipe, and then kind
Swipe.
of you're kind of walk through the first things with permissions, and
Okay.
then after granting them, you can log in. It'll download the GUIP database, and then you're good to go. Um, I already did that today. Uh, Works great so far. Of course, there are some glitches here and there, um, but yeah, we are working on. The biggest thing about it is we haven't yet optimized for battery performance. So yeah, if you depend on your having your phone for like a full day without recharging, or like 2 days, depending on your model, it's not yet for you.
Yeah. Also,
But you could just try it and see like what your mileage is, and
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And also maybe to clarify this, because like Pluto is already asking, and I appreciate that. It's like at the moment we focus on the SPN. Like all the other stuff will come in there as well. It's not that we want to leave stuff out, but at the moment people who are paying for the SPN probably came from something else before, and that thing probably worked on their phones as well. So we were like, you're already paying us. We want to give you at least the capabilities on all the devices.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
Android is next, and iOS will come afterwards, and then we would move to Mac. I think I communicated this a lot, because like there are people with iPhones without Macs, but typically there aren't people with Macs without iPhones. So there are developers, I know, but typically there aren't.
Yeah, yeah. There
So
there is a high correlation between these two. So
yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. At least in Europe, and so this is the reason why we moved how we moved, and go for Android next. Also, it's of course from a development perspective easier, and there is F-Droid out there. So from an can we get into an app store, it's easier as well, and we will make the APK available and stuff like that. So yeah, no. So Pluto 5, if you want to join the beta, you can of course email us or join the Discord. Always happy. We will announce stuff as we go, but like for people who are like subscribing to the to Portmaster Unlimited, who have access to SPN, the Android app is like working, and as you said, it's a little bit of a battery drainer at the moment. But
Yeah.
this will we're working on that as well. Like this is like the main focus for some of us, and it's like getting that working, getting that improved, getting that fast and stuff. So yeah, no, definitely, definitely something we're working on. Mike, for you, the same thing. Like maybe we can talk afterwards to give you share with you an APK.
Yeah, I think the best thing is still to use the F-Droid repo. Like kind of now have our own F-Droid repo. You just add it with the URL to the application, and then you can like install from there, reinstall from there, get updates from there. So that is probably the most convenient solution for everyone. So that's kind of what we suggest. So I think F-Droid is in the kind of privacy realm is a very common uh, app store, probably the most used one. And yeah, so I think we can share the repo URL in the show notes or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, okay. Uh,
We will.
so but the important thing about that, of course, is that you give feedback and then you report bugs. We can already report bugs from within the app. Wait, yes and no. Yeah, we I just learned today that there's an issue with that. So I have still have to investigate why sometimes it's not working. Um, so if it fails to send the report from within the app, please try again sometime later. Um,
Exactly. Sometimes because this is like a guy who like I know and I met, and like he's testing the app for us, not part of the safing team. That's sort of like how this goes. Like people you can see what they click on and stuff. Very important because like we don't do any analytics. So for us, people who we know who can be guinea pigs, who we see what they see in like when they open the app, stuff that's clearly there, they don't see because like it's not where it's supposed to be, like we're already like trained to click and watch certain
hmm
places,
hmm
so this is always useful. And like he's noticed like that I wanted to report a bug but it does not work, and like he hands me over his phone and I'm like looking at it, clicking the button, and it sends it immediately. Not sure there if he was not, because I think the button was clearly where it should have been, but I think it was what you were saying, like maybe just like it needed some time to do it. So
hmm
very sorry for that inconvenience, but please be patient. And it helps us a lot. As we were saying, like we don't have any analytics. We don't know how many people are like running the Android app if they do, and stuff like that. So for us, it's very important to for people to tell us what's going on, and yeah, if what their experience is like the stuff with the
hmm
battery drain, that's just from the devices that we have. Like we see
Yeah.
it on our devices, so we're like yours probably will have the same issue. But I think like the guy that I was just talking about, I think he's running it all the time in the background. So
Nice. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Great.
like, why didn't it start after like a reboot? And I think it now does or something like that. But he's like, I want it
Should.
up all the time,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
downtime. But he has a big battery, so for him it's not too much of an
So
issue.
one thing to add to Android app progress is that um, another reason it was a good kind of the logical way to start with SPN first, and the next one will be the security NS. Is that the privacy filter is by far the um, the feature that needs the most UI,
Yeah,
both in showing data and in being able to manipulate settings and stuff like that. So, and we don't know yet how we'll do that on Android exactly. How much of it will have to rebuild from scratch, how much we can reuse from the desktop, how many elements and logic there we can just grab and plug in there and just kind of make it a bit smaller and make the buttons bigger, things like that. Um, and how much we'll actually have to like rebuild from scratch. So that's kind of a, the next big thing that we'll have to do. Um, so next thing will be security NS. Well, after we fix the battery stuff, or at least drastically improve the battery stuff, it will be security NS, and then after that, um, privacy filter when we figured out how to do the UI. Yeah. So things are coming along. Um, that's very nice, but it'll take a little more
Yeah, yeah.
time till
Thank
we
you
get there.
all for your patience. Absolutely. No, and I will put the F-Droid link into the description again. I think it's in our matrix. I will find it. If not, please, Daniel.
I think it's really just updates at saving.io/f/repo.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. Great. Okay. Pluto asks if we have any collaborations with any other privacy-minded organizations. Um, like proper collaborations, not yet. Like we are talking to a couple. I think the one of the things that just happened was I think we're now officially in the Manjaro repository. So we have been in the AUR for quite some time. Um, there are some issues with the AUR entry, as far as I can tell. I don't know if we've
No,
fixed
it
that
does work.
already.
It does work correctly. It's just that it's a bit outdated because our like GitHub thing that should automatically do the thing broke.
Okay.
So
Well, as far as but does it auto update afterwards?
yeah, sure. So it should
Hmm.
there is it might be a bit weird in the beginning, but it
Just reboot. Wait and
it
reboot.
yeah, it should definitely work.
But
So
we're in the Manjaro repo now, and Manjaro, like I talked to people from there, and it has been like cool talking with them and stuff like that. Other people like Pluto, I don't know if you know Firewalls Don't Stop Dragons, like with Kerry Parker. He had like this has been last year already, and it's not in collaboration at all. But I just found it funny, and so I like sharing it with people. People at NordVPN use Portmaster, which is such a cool tidbit. And I'm not saying that NordVPN is very privacy stuff and whatever, like VPNs, and they have been breached, they have been hacked and stuff like that, and have
and we're
decided
here
to
to
not
replace
tell
them.
people again.
And we're here to replace them. So
Yeah. So it's yeah, but it has been a lot of fun knowing that they are using Portmaster. Also, we know like Crypty, for instance, great people, love use their application and so on, but no official collaborations yet. Like yeah, we'll see. Maybe Avoid the Hack is some sort of collaboration. Like he is doing posts on our site, and I'm emailing with him from time to time. Great guy. And yeah, exactly. um, Oh, to support safing and have it expand was one of the things Pluto asked. Yeah, Signal reached out to us. I mean, we're not like expanding through Signal or anything, but like they had some issues with Portmasters working next to it on desktop, and sort of like we're in contact. Like if you have an application that's as widely used as Portmaster already, like they have been featured on its FOSS for quite some time. Lifehacker did a recent post where we were like above BitLocker, like in the list of things you should install. And I'm like, interesting, cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
and stuff like that. So yeah, no, that's sort of like the thing. Pluto privacy phones. Well, um, I don't know. In
We're
regards to
just
phones,
starting out.
exactly. We're just starting out. Librem has taught us that it's not easy to do a privacy phone. I'd say. I think Henry from Techlore, his piece on why he switched back to stock Android, I know he got a lot of flack. But as Daniel was already saying, like your threat model is like it's very dependent on your threat model, what you do and from what you want to protect. And for Henry, as far as like I think he wanted to explain in his video was like his threat model is more of people like trying to attack him personally, and so for him it's less about some broad attack and some broad surveillance. And so he opted because he's sharing so much already, like Henry is not private. You know, if you have a YouTube channel showing your face, at some point you're like you can expect some lack of privacy in your life. And so, and especially with a channel of his size. And so I guess like this depends on your threat model again. And yeah. Danielle, did you want to chime in here?
Regarding no,
I think you wanted to just chime into something.
oh,
Um,
not sure.
so yeah. Pluto asked how many people are using Portmaster. We like don't know. Like we don't have any analytics in Portmaster. We cannot say if it's like we of course know how many people have, like, of course we can assume how many people have downloaded from our homepage, but this does not include people who downloaded it through GitHub, and of course does not include people who downloaded it from other websites, which we strongly discourage. We
Yeah,
have
please
not
don't.
put them there. Like I know we're on some of those, like chipde was back in the day a site. Like we don't put them there. I don't know if it's correct what they have there. Don't download from there. So yeah.
If
Oh,
you do,
Dash is
check
back
signatures.
again. Oh, great, Dash. Nice to see you. There's
You can
been,
always, like, if you download installers, you can, like, especially with Windows installer is natively signed, so you can just on
yeah.
Windows right click it and check the signature. So that should be from Safing ICS Technologies GmbH. That's the official company name. That's on all the certificates. Um, so that's the name you'd be looking for in that case. I don't think we have externally verifiable signatures for our Linux packages, but I don't think anyone else hosts them anyway. So it's mostly the Windows installer that people love to copy and save somewhere, which isn't a big problem as long as it's not modified, because even if it's older, it will auto update anyway immediately. So that shouldn't be a problem. Um, yeah,
Should not, but of course we cannot tell.
but could.
So yeah.
Who
So
knows?
please download from
Should
safing.io
not.
slash download, or you can of course like as we said, like go to GitHub. Dash asked, and I think it's a beautiful question. I don't think like when we started this was as much of a question, but why are we on GitHub? Or maybe I just answered it, but like why are we on GitHub and not on GitLab?
Or Bitbucket, or like what
We
the what
have
was
been
the
on
other one?
Bitbucket in the
Source
past.
Hut. Source Hut is the new thing, isn't it? And
But
that's another one. There's another cool one. Well, to actually answer the question, the we are in GitHub probably because that's where most people will find us. Um, so it's kind of a place where we're out in the open, very findable. Um, so also the GitHub stars, that has been amazing for us to track traction, and a
Yeah.
lot of other people were quite impressed on like how our growth um, looked like just
Yeah.
by looking at the GitHub stars. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a very interesting metric for us. And the GitHub tools are also quite nice just for working with. But we are not dependent on GitHub. So all of our data is mirrored and backed up. So if GitHub kicks us out, we're like, okay, we'll just invest a couple days and move somewhere else, and we're there. That's it. So there's no dependency on GitHub. We're not locked into them.
Yeah.
It's just right now it's a platform where we're very public and findable, and yeah.
And this is important. And in regards to traction, I think that people like Life Hacker, I think, or whatever, like those sort of things, they come from others seeing that Portmaster is being used, and others understanding that we're not just open source in regards to like people can look at it, but that there are actually people looking at it, and that it's not just some dusty code which everybody can have a look at. But that, yeah, I think this is important. Also for everybody who's using it, it's important that people like are reviewing it. And we actually, I think, was it last week? Somebody reached out to us in regards to like how we do the token system. I think was it the guy who wrote the a version of that library in the
Yeah,
past?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and stuff like that. And people are looking on GitHub. So those sorts of interactions, maybe GitLab might be there as well, but still GitHub is one of the biggest ones. And so for collaborations and people looking at our code, actually going through it and stuff, this sort of behavior is more on GitHub. And of course, like for people, if you're a threat model, if you want to keep your code open source and but private ish, like that you sort of like have an audience better, or is also privacy conscious, maybe GitHub is not the place for you. But for us, like using uh, very like technology which is developed by us, we actually want people to have a look and have a gander and tell us if they found something or not. Because yeah, no, people find stuff and it's cool, and we would love to hear if people like what we do. Yeah. Dash said, of course, they should be impressed. No, like we have been, TechCrunch wrote an article about like the top 5 growing projects on GitHub. We have been number 4 in 2022, the 4th fastest growing project in GitHub stars in 2024. And if you look at the star history chart, it's like an hockey stick going straight up through the tail end of 2022. 2020, did I say 2024? 2022, last year. We've been number 4 last year in regards to growth, like GitHub stars over the year, which has been great. Like people have been reaching out. I think a lot of people found us now through GitHub, and looked at the code, looked at what we do, installed Portmaster, and sort of like got started into privacy, which is exactly where we want to
Mhm.
be. We're on Discord, we're on YouTube, we're on GitHub, so that we're sort of like in those places where people are who might be interested in privacy, and then like install Portmaster and make the step and start the privacy journey. Yeah, cool. Danielle, do you want to add more stuff
Yeah, there is one cool thing that happened today.
today?
Yes, today. So if you have uh, Portmaster running and SPN enabled, you could open the SPN page in the app and see something new.
I'm not sure if, because I'm doing the live stream, if I should do it now.
Okay, okay. Do you have it? Okay, that's true.
Like changing
Because
stuff now.
I don't know, like disrupting the connection to YouTube is something that Portmaster would like to do. Um,
Just out
so
of, but no, I will quickly have a gander. Like, let me see. But I have not seen that Portmaster did an update today. So
don't enable it though. It'll kill the connection to YouTube.
yeah, I know, but I think it's
Okay.
on.
Okay. So what happened is that one of the people who uh the community who hosts nodes um created one in Africa. So
Oh, that's true.
we have
Yeah.
our first node in Africa, and in uh I couldn't tell from if the region was correctly displayed, but it's South Africa or a neighboring country.
Yeah. Very cool.
So yeah, very very nice. So I think that's us just missing one last continent. Well, except for in Antarctica, we're gonna leave that one out for a considerable amount of time, I think.
Very cool.
So
Um, Dash, I just saw quickly that you wrote something longer. I might answer it later because we're already in the wrap up thing, or next time. So I saw it, but I'm not gonna read it now. I had a look at Portmaster earlier, and I went back and saw that he wrote. Sorry. Cool. No, yeah. So yeah, community notes. More and more are getting in. That's also very cool. If you're curious about community notes, there is something in our docs page with the FAQ already. Also on the wiki.safing.io page, you can also see there like why it's cool that there are community notes, why it's not an issue in regards to privacy, and why it enhances privacy, and why if you want to run a community node, yeah, you would actually contribute and it would be very like cool to us. But don't use a Raspberry Pi at home. SPN tries to, yeah, it's not like it's like we use more bandwidth. We try to bundle and mix as many stuff into one server as possible. So the nodes need to be like from a processor perspective fast and from internet connection fast and stuff like that. So home nodes are not encouraged. Cool. Okay. I think that's a wrap up. I we will see you all again in 2 weeks, as always. Thank you, Danielle, for being here. Like this was a little bit impromptu, as everybody knows.
yeah, it was a bit spontaneous. I didn't even know what the what the topic was until like Raphael like stopped a second before hitting go. Like, hey, wait a second. The topic for today is okay. Let's go. I was like, good.
Yeah, getting sick is not
Yeah.
fun. No, but this is exactly what I like. I like that there are people out here talking to us,
Yeah, no,
asking
it
us
was great. It was
questions.
fun.
So thank you all for joining us,
Yeah,
and we
thanks.
will see you all